Hey guys, Stealth here. In this replay we are looking at Meow Kitler, which I think is a brilliant nickname by the way. He's operating on straight to the point and he's using a Commonwealth mechanized deck. Now in this replay, as he mentioned in the description of it, we're going to see an helo rush first. So first off he's going in with a Lynx 3, a Lynx AH2 20mm, so these are the autocannons, group of reconnaissance units, and here's some Pumas. I'm not sure what's in here. But judging by the fact that it's a Commonwealth deck, there's a good chance that these guys are SAS, Gurkhas, or Highlanders, for example. Although I'm not sure that the Highlanders use the Puma, so it's probably SAS. He also mentions there's a lot of artillery in the game. Surprise, surprise. So the first Smirch runs already here, and well, he's pretty lucky that they didn't hit the helicopters too much. These things have been stunned a little, but they're still moving. And he mentioned that this helo rush is going to go almost south. It's almost going to go completely bad. But somehow he managed to fix it. We're also going to see a Centurion Mark V rush in this game. It's executed by him. And I find it very interesting because I personally don't like this Centurion line. So I want to see how he uses that line and how he's going to pull off a rush like that. Because if you want to rush with a Centurion, you're going to have to rush down a road. Those things are not made to go off-road. Which is a weird aspect for a tank. Now he also has some artillery of his own. He has two M110 A2RA batteries. And I think that he is doing some counter-artillery battering here. Negative, this is not counter-artillery. He's possibly smoking this position. Yeah, he's smoking it. Interesting. And just look at those clouds of smoke. These things leave a lot more smoke because they fire a very high caliber compared to the mortars. A lot of guys surrendering. Sleeping Giants already left the game. This guy left the game. Grizzly left the game. I'm not sure why though. And I think that this is a pretty clever move because people wouldn't really expect a smokescreen already. So what we have here is NZ SAS, brought in by the Chinooks. Chinooks are just seemingly casually parking here. Why not? Here come the Pumas, and the one thing he needs is right here, which is a Bell 206 command chopper. So if he can bring these in time, he has a command position over here and a reinforcement zone. Now, the fact that he's getting away with it, and the fact that there's, for example, a group of 4 Tungushkas over here, it does tell me that the opposition isn't the best. But that seems to be happening a lot lately, where people face off against new players and do extremely well because they're already quite experienced. Or very experienced. I didn't look at his profile before I checked out his replay. So we got 2 groups of Gurkhas over here. They are being backed up by the Lynx, and they have a nice amount of AT weaponry themselves. They're 15-man squads. What they need now is for a command chopper to land. And for some reason it's not being captured. So this thing might just be inches outside of the command zone. Because I doubt that Blue 4 has their own command zone, or that Red 4 has their own CV already in here. And he seems to have realized that too. Gurkhas took a major pounding here, by the way. And this is not good. Artillery's coming in. Narrowly missed the 206 because it landed and they were going for an aerial target. But the helo's taking off again. And damn it, they got to it. So they're spawning an Iltis CP here. Let's see. There's reinforcements arriving here. Another CP is coming in from Dan East with a couple of Avengers for escorts. Make that a large group of Avengers. And V-150, so this might be Delta Force. Next target is these Chinooks. Not really a priority target, but okay. And Meow Kitler over here is bringing in a Lafayette to support his operation over here, which I think is a great idea, because with that main gun you can pummel any vehicle. This was unfortunate. BRDM-3 got to the command vehicle, so again they lost this position. Now it's going to take out any other units here. Yep, here's 40 groups, or 40 units of Delta Force. Actually it's 4 units of course, but you know, it's a group of 40. One of the V-150s get destroyed here. He has to take out the BRDM-3 quickly. Look at that. They're expecting an air war. Puma gets destroyed. And gotta say, Blue 4 has a lot of special forces here now. A lot of Deltas and the Navy SEALs and the SAS. They also completely cut off Charlie, which means that Red 4 does not get a lot of income. They've also managed to push up very, very far into this area already. Normally this is a pretty contested zone, where it is not an easy position to advance to if you're Red 4 from over there towards Foxtrot. And from Blue 4 it's the same deal. Now we have a lot of high-end units hiding in the back here. So I'm thinking Zocchi XXL is not that experienced either, so that balances the teams out a little bit. Got some Abrams pushing in out of fuel right into the arms of some VDV here, which are giving them a very, very warm welcome. There goes another Abrams shot right in the back of the tank. And damn it, Red 4 has captured the zone. But where? It's probably back there at the attack marker. Baeknu's coming in. Baeknu is a nice support ship. It has some decent weaponry on it, especially the AA missiles are nice for a 75-point unit. But it is not really a match for tanks. So what we need here is a heavier AT capability. And it would be nice if that Lafayette would hurry up, because this thing could make all the difference. In the meanwhile, on the right flank, we got trouble coming up. Sovremeni, Udaloy, 7 Nanushkas. It's like they're planning something. And Blue 4 is smart enough not to bring in any more ships. They do have a Lafayette over here, which has taken some damage. But due to the stealth ratio on this thing, they can probably not see it. So they need to find and take out that command vehicle quickly. And Kitler is out of units over here. He still has 10 Gurkhas left. And let's see, bombing run here. Cluster bombs mostly. Destroying a nice amount of vehicles here before they can cause all sorts of troubles for the infantry that's in here. And they might have just neutralized the command vehicle here with the V-150. Mirage comes in to do a bombing run with standard Mark 82s. Doing quite some damage to these T-55s and killing off one. And finally this zone is neutralized. That means that they can breathe easy for a bit until, holy hell, B5s, SU-27Ks. What's the B5 going to bomb? Oh shit. I hope that Lynx makes it out. No, Lynx got hit. This is going back and forth a lot. Every time Blue 4 manages to capture it, Red 4 jumps right back in with a couple of bombers. And this is where you really see how much longer it takes for Blue 4 troops to arrive in this zone compared to Red 4. Now, Meow Kitler has some Gurkhas over here. The second squad just got destroyed, and I'm thinking that in this game he was bringing in his reinforcements. The game said, okay, the shortest route is Oscar, so we're going to fly them right over the enemy air defenses and right into the zone where you want them. Which of course is not exactly brilliant, but that's just the way that the pathing works on this game sometimes. This was another pretty weird move here. I think that 5-bow anti-ship plane might have gone for the Lafayette if they saw it, but I don't think they did. So it might have, the player might have thought, well, this is a ship. Yeah, except it's a riverine craft. This ship cannot be targeted by anti-ship missiles. And he paid very, very dearly for that, losing 2 very high-end anti-ship planes. Now we got more T-72s coming in, and they finally found and neutralized... Did they neutralize it? They neutralized 1 command vehicle, but there's more. Gotta say, this is definitely an interesting replay. Now we have a Congo over here to back them up. Lafayette has arrived. Congo is taking Smirch fire. It's not really doing that bad, but it should not keep this up for hours. Another run by the B5, which is very heavily damaged. And here come the Su-27Ks. But none of the anti-ship missiles managed to hit, if they fired at all. I couldn't really see with all the Smirch going on there. And again, Delta has been neutralized. Red 4 does not have it because the Blue 4 CV arrived. So they're halfway there, but now they need to neutralize this zone completely. And it seems that there's reinforcements on the way. Pumas and some monitor Zippos over here. Monitor Zippos are nice units and particularly well suited for this job, although they are terribly slow at only 14 knots. But that Beaufort L60 fires very, very quickly, and I think that they carry way too few rounds of these things. What I usually have when I use these units, and I used them quite extensively in the Second Korean War campaigns, that you run out of ammo. That is the major problem that these things have. But they have a napalm launcher, they have a Beaufort L60, they have a strength of 40 for only 30 points, and they even carry some armor, so they are a very, very good deal. Now, some more units have arrived, some more Gurkhas over here. I think that what they really need... There you go, radar operator killed this. I'm going to cover this later, but this is the moment when you want to strike with your anti-ship planes or your anti-ship batteries. The moment you see radar operator killed, it means that the ship is blind. It will not fire any of its weapons, including its defensive weapons. That means that this CWIS battery, the anti-ship missile battery, that one and the one on the bow will not fire. The ship is completely defenseless, so if you come in with a couple of anti-ship planes now, the Lafayette is too far away, the Pohangs are too far away, this thing can very easily be killed off now. I just, in a way, I'm hoping that someone realizes that and comes in with a couple of anti-ship planes, because Blue 4 doesn't have anything to deal with an air threat. The Lafayette still has some Cortals left, 16 out of 24. They have a decent a decent airplane range, but it's not stellar. And yep, here we go, here come the missiles. And that Congo is lucky to make it out alive. So good play by whoever sent in those anti-ship planes, because they very, very nearly scored 420 points. Lafayette over here is very heavily damaged by the Smirch. It's not the most effective way to deal with ships, but they are forcing them to back off. And here's another command vehicle coming in from O10 Celestial. So they now have 2 command vehicles, or command units, but it's not really going to do them any good until they neutralize that Red 4 unit. Now looking at the scores, Red 4 has 4,600 points and Blue 4 has 5,400. So they are pretty tied, which is interesting considering that Blue 4 seems to have most of the map under their control. A couple of helos get sniped here. That Red 4 fleet over here, by the way, we saw earlier, is causing all sorts of trouble for the Blue 4 section over here. But they're getting pretty close to the shore, and they just lost 3 Nanushkas almost at the same time. The Udaloy is shaken and has taken some damage. The Sovremeni has gone through half of its health. And these ships are now in trouble, because you cannot really defend against all anti-ship missiles with these 2 ships combined. You're gonna need more. And we got Sea Busters over here, we got MOBAs. Unfortunately they didn't exactly fire at the same time, and that is gonna cost them. These Mars might have been brought in here to fire at these guys, but they are getting too close. They have a minimum range, That means that they cannot shoot at these targets. So they're going to have to find some other way to deal with the Sovereign and the Udaloy, but for now they are not that big of a threat. Just don't bring in any forces through Oscar. Now what I'm more interested in is how the guys up here in the north are doing. It seems that those two Gurkha squads that landed here earlier have already been destroyed. And this might be one of the remnants. One group of, or two groups of Gurkhas here. Lafayette's taken heavy damage. It still has 2 Crotals, but that's not really going to cut it. And it is also taking tank fire, as you can see. And this ship is pretty damn capable of defending itself. The problem is that it is now fresh out of Crotals. So the only real weapon that it has to defend itself is that 68 TR main gun, which is remarkably accurate at shooting down missiles, but if you overwhelm it, it cannot really do anything. Now finally Blue 4 has the zone, because Red 4 seems to have moved their CV. I'm just gonna scout it out a little. Yep, there it is. This is what was causing them all sorts of trouble. They also have command infantry in here, but the command infantry is gonna... it's not in the zone, it seems to have retreated for now. And now Meow Kitler is gonna bring in his centurions, which are first gonna roll up to 262, probably not even see the Tor, so that thing's safe. It's also turned off, out of ammo. And the rest of the defensive line here is not that stellar. They don't have any reconnaissance. Of course, you don't really need it over here, because the first moment you're going to see anything is going to be the moment when it is already in range. That's just the nature of fighting in force. You don't really need reconnaissance units there. But over here, reconnaissance would have been nice. The NZSCS, if he put them over there, he might have spotted that CV and gave his team another target of opportunity for artillery. Anyway, let's see how this is gonna go and work with the Centurion Mark 5s. Here come the first. And these guys don't really have a lot of accuracy. 20% accuracy on the main gun, 5% stabilized, 8 armor penetration, 9 frontal armor. They have terrible off-road speed, so I'm really not sure why he's bringing in these tanks, but according to his description it is going to work. And what is not going to work is this Lafayette. It has taken a ton of damage, but he seems to be oblivious to the fact that the ship is almost going to sink. Come on, move it away. It's a very expensive 200 point unit. You do not want to lose that. Again, Smirch is going after 70 point ships, and there goes the Lafayette. Very unfortunate, but he could have moved that. Now, it seems that over here on the right flank, the 2 enemy warships have been destroyed. And he is bringing in a marksman. Not sure why he's bringing in a marksman here. Maybe he saw something that I didn't. Ah, I get it. Red 4 has a CV back in. So he brought in a Centurion marksman, probably here, to start dealing with any helicopters or air threats. The marksman, however, did not get a chance to spawn in this zone, and instead it started spawning over here. So this unit is now going to have to move all the way across the front line, possibly taking this road because it's the fastest one, or that one. So this AA unit is going to arrive in, well, I think 4 to 5 minutes. So you can see just the terrible off-road speed of these things. I know that they're also trying to go through a forest, which is not helping their maneuverability, but I just really don't like these tanks. Too slow for me. Well, let's see how it works. We also got a couple of Buffalo 4s here, which are transports that probably dropped off Royal Marines. What I would have done here is brought my Royal Marines in 2 groups of 20 and start pushing through this forest. Because Centurion Marksmen are not exactly... Sorry, Centurion Mark 5s are not exactly suitable to do that. Royal Marines have the Carl Gustaf M2 and two very nice anti-infantry weapons, so they could have easily flushed out this entire forest. This is not a good position for these guys. Let's see. It seems that Delfgen sent out an airstrike. He did. Well, I'm not sure if he mentioned it. I think he mentioned it. And then I think he killed off 15 NZSCS in the process. I've seen this happen quite a lot of times lately, and it has pissed me off. If you're using artillery, if you're using an airstrike, perfect. Go for it. Just let your team know where you're firing, what your intended target is. Because if you don't, you have a very, very high chance of hitting friendlies, and that is not something you want to do. I always tell people, okay guys, I'm going to artillery, for example, this time I'm going to put down an attack marker saying artillery incoming, bombing run incoming, bombers incoming, napalm incoming. If you let the enemy know what kind of weapon you're going to use where, and really only for artillery and airstrikes that's important, because tanks and other vehicles and infantry they can just see. But artillery and airstrikes are so deadly and so lethal, including their own forces, that you really, really need to let your friendlies know where you're firing and what you're firing at. Because I've had my Spetsnaz, for example, walk into the Buratino fire of someone who did not mention he was going to fire. My Spetsnaz were moving up, and suddenly they were engulfed in flames, courtesy of the Buratino. So please let your teammates know. Always use attack markers for bombing runs. This, for example, which is done by Meow Kitler, why is he trying to bomb friendlies? Or at least it seems that way. These were cluster bombs that he dropped, and he should be very lucky that that didn't do a lot of damage to these tanks by OTA and Celestial. So he was going to hit this area. Some of these cluster bombs hit this small ridge, damaging some of these tanks. So this is definitely an example of what I meant. Be very, very careful as you use bombers. They're great weapons, especially when used correctly. This cluster bombing run was probably going to work because there were some vehicles here. But let your friendlies know. Okay, enough on that. I'll stop nagging now. In the meanwhile, the Centurions are crawling across the forest. They are also running out of fuel because their autonomy is 450. Now, don't take this autonomy as a unit can move 450 kilometers. I believe that you should take it as a unit can move for a certain period of time. It's something I read lately in the forums. I haven't been able to check this yet. If you have more info on that, please let me know in the comments down below. But I think it's the amount of time that units can move. Although I don't think that these units have moved for 450 seconds, because that is 8 minutes. That's not how long these units have been in the game. He also has a couple of gunships over here with the heat variety of weapons, rocket pods. These things will do nothing or not much to infantry, but they will use their twin miniguns to that. The rocket pods are not going to be effective against infantry because they got zero because they got 0 HE value. They are effective against armor and helicopters to some extent, but that's only those twin miniguns that's on the helicopters. See, this would have been an ideal target group for the Royal Marines, which are still hiding out here. So, Meow Kitler, next time, use these special forces or commandos and start pushing. That's what they were designed to do. Go for it. Kill those Gornostrelkis, ambush that Akula, and you're going to get yourself quite a nice amount of points. And talking about points, Blue 4 is now at 12,000 versus 8,000 for Red 4, and Red 4 is continuing to lose terrain. Blue 4 very, very boldly moving up with a CV here. possibly attempting to neutralize this sector, but I doubt that it's going to arrive there. Yeah, there you go. A couple of these lynxes are pushing in. Good thing is that they spotted the command unit, which might be the only one. Not sure about that. I'm not sure what he was trying to do here. It would be nice though if you could kill off a couple of those smirches. I think he got at least 1, 2. Tor is looking at it, but cannot do anything because it's out of ammo, I suppose. AH-7s are turning around, killing off another smirch. So very, very effective use here of these Lynx AH-7s, but also an extremely risky play, unless he knew that there was no AA here. 8 napalm tanks are coming in, getting RD'd. Now this is another example of be careful with your RD. I think that these are the Marses that we saw earlier. Where was that fire coming? Yep, here. The Marses that we saw earlier from Zaki XXL. He saw that those helicopters were operating here. My helicopters would have probably gone after those tanks, because I know that napalm tanks don't carry any machine guns, so they cannot return fire at those helicopters. So my helicopters would have been caught in the blast and would have gone down along with the tanks. So again, this would be an ideal opportunity to let your friendlies know where you're firing at, because even when there's just 2 helicopters, I don't want my friendlies to lose units. Let's see how they're doing over here. They're clearing out the forest with an interesting selection of units. I think they have a lot of units here which have no business being in the forest. Crotals are nice and fast, they can operate here very well. Chaparrals, not so much. They got a nice off-road speed of 60. ADATs, same deal. Finding targets or getting a line of sight from a forest is not easy. And besides that, they have a ton of them. They got a lot of chaparrals here. ADATs, they got the Crotals, more ADATs, more chaparrals. Whereas there is no helicopters here. Probably because all of this stuff. And Red 4 is again trying to hit something. I'm not entirely sure what, but possibly the command infantry. If they can get that, they have neutralized one command unit, but there's another one back there. And meanwhile, Centurion Mark 5s have been resupplied with fuel. They now have, or he now has 12 of these standing by, ready to go. And he captured this town with Canadian Airborne, so good job there. Not sure though why the helicopters are sitting in front of the front line. Or actually, I suppose you could say they are the front line by now. These guys are 20 points apiece, so he has 80 points sitting out here. I usually try to get these guys away as soon as possible, so I will queue my orders, hold shift, tell them to offload, and then tell them to fly back to, for example, there, where there's not very likely to be an artillery strike. Now, please don't tell me those Centurion Mark 5s are going to cross this hill as well, because that's going to take them forever. In the meanwhile, wow, are these still the same lynxes? No, they're not. The lynxes that we saw earlier were elite. And they managed to destroy, I think, 4 smirches and a command unit over there. They might have gone for a resupply, or they might have been killed. I'm not sure which it is. But the effectiveness of these units here is very, very high. Particularly since there is no AA, or it's been turned off. But I think that the AA has emptied its magazines. Look at this. A couple of smirches there again, or BM-24s. I'm not too sure which ones they are. And Blue 4 is now returning fire with a lot of missile launchers. Possibly the Lars, since they just ran out of ammo. Let's see how the FOBs are doing. Not too bad, actually. Not too bad. Keep in mind that on a map this big, some artillery cannot fire from this side of the map to the other side of the map. That is probably why in the middle of the map we saw these Larses They have a range of 17,500 meters, which is 70.5 kilometers. That means they cannot fire from one side of the map to the other. They just don't have the range. That's probably why they're moving up here. Now, again, a group of Centurion Mark 5s runs out of fuel, so these guys probably weren't inside the refueling circle of this cargo. And he's dropping off probably some more NZSCS. He's going to have to drop off those guys quickly, because that one Chinook is not looking too good. Wow. He can kill those. Yep, he got 3 of them. Possibly 4. And that is one lucky Hornet. Now, these helicopters are just hovering here, making themselves ideal target for a T-55 AMV. And yep, as expected, NZSCS. Situation like this, you can push with a group of 20 if you want to get some more firepower. If you want to get some more reconnaissance capability, split them up. Or go for a middle road, where you have initially a group of 20 until they reach the other side of the mountain, and then split them up, telling one group to go there, the other group to go there, where you have a bit more reconnaissance capability on this end. T-62 has been destroyed. This group's going to be stuck here, because they're out of fuel. One has taken heavy damage, and this group's looking okay. BMPTs versus Sapeurs is not in the advantage of the Sapeurs. There go the grenade launchers and the main gun. They should be lucky, those Sapeurs, that the autocannons haven't gotten involved yet, the TS-72s. NZSCS take out a 15 point something, probably a transport. And more BMPTs. SAS is having a bad day here. Look at that, they're just getting chewed up. So much for your expensive SAS units. Not sure why Meow Kitler didn't respond to that. He could have helped those SCS. Couple of Centurion marksmen are coming in. This is weird. It says that there's 2 of them, but the game only registers 1 as I hover over them. So where the hell is the other one? This is possibly one of the first glitches I've seen in Red Dragon. See again, friendly fire, blue on blue. These patterns were doing okay. Of course, having an Akula there doesn't help. But then they got hit by the artillery from the friendly forces, and that caused them to go into a shaken mode. It didn't damage them, which is lucky, but it could have gone a lot worse. Now we got Navy SEALs versus a BMPT. That is not going to be something that the Navy SEALs will win. They are causing all sorts of error messages on the BMPTs. Look at that. Firing computer reset, weapons jammed, stabilization malfunction, optical failure. That's a nice one, optical failure. It means the unit is blind. Transaxial hit means that the unit is most likely immovable. And yeah, these Centurion Mark 5s could have been so much help here. Even if they don't have the armor penetration to go through the frontal armor of the BMPT, they can still go through the side. So, Meow Kitler, next time try to find positions where you can really help your teammates, because this is not the best way. Look at that. A lot of Super Hornets circling here, which is actually an interesting use of these things, as they are anti-ship planes, but they carry a large amount of anti-air missiles as well. The CF-18 ASUW carry short-range missiles, AIM-9s. Super Hornets carry long-range AMRAAMs, which is the reason why I believe they're also slightly more expensive, 180 versus 160. And, well, there's no more ships here, but there are air threats, so you can just have these things circle here. I would not have my Tomcats circle this close per se. Having a circle over here is perfectly fine, because you're not risking them to get shot down. And we got a large amount of Monitor 105s, which is basically a floating artillery battery. And for 50 points you get an artillery battery which is not the most accurate, but which has a ton of rounds. It has 200 rounds aboard a ship. Rate of fire is 7 rounds a minute, which is not bad for an artillery unit. Dispersion could be a bit better, but hey, they're only 50 points. That's cheaper than a usual artillery unit. Akula versus Apache, helped out by an ADATS. And what the hell is a Chimera doing there? Red Force still has smirches. Probably 2 groups of them. I want to see how Red Force fobs are doing. Look at that, they're almost full. Insofar as they have fobs left. Interesting. I thought that by now, seeing all the artillery fire come out of here, the fobs would be empty. And I had also expected a Muna to have possibly crawled up this river. But either that ship got destroyed or it didn't get up there at all. Whoops, Meow Kitler. He's pushing him with a couple of helicopters. Not sure why. They have a minigun, but they're also not that good against targets. Unless it's infantry. And they're just getting picked off one by one by an AA unit. There you go. 3 helicopters down. Lynx AH-7 coming in. Probably as a reconnaissance unit. They spotted one T-55 K1 command tank here. Unfortunately, the Super Cobra just lost sight of these tanks here. And they are trying to get eyes on these vehicles, but not really having a lot of luck with it. Look at that. Lynx AH-7. 2 groups of them. Just landed, stole 4 fobs in one go. Very nice play there. And this Tor should be right about out of ammo. Super Cobras are lucky that they got away with that. A couple more BM-24s getting killed off. Now, the Centurion Mark V rush that he mentioned, I did not see it. Maybe it happened somewhere where I wasn't watching, but the Centurion Mark V's in the middle of the map really didn't do that much. So let's see. 2,600 points gained, 1,675 lost. Pretty decent result. Who were the top players on the match? SZ Miller. This was the guy, I believe, who kept bringing in command vehicles, who did a good job. Delfgan did a good job point-wise, and since he had a lot of anti-ship planes, I wouldn't be surprised if about 900 points, probably more, came out of the destruction of ships. So good job there, defending that shore. Zoki XXL, I think that he was the artillery player. Because he didn't... I didn't see any units of him on the front line, really. And considering that he didn't lose that many units, but did gain quite a lot of points, that is probably why he got this decent score. Floki did okay. Let's see, were there any feeders on this team? None. All of Blue 4 got a better kill ratio than death ratio. Now let's look at the other team. Keep in mind, there were quite a lot of quitters early on. 4 players did absolutely nothing. So it was basically a 10 versus 6, which, considering that this guy also got 150 points left early, it was a 10v5. So these guys on Red 4 were outnumbered 2-1. And I don't think that later on in the game any of them left. So definitely a shout out to these guys. Because even as they lost significantly, they did not quit, which is something that I really do applaud. Many people leave, and of course there are reasons for that. Some people may have other obligations in real life. Some people, I don't know, their baby started to cry, they need to look after that. Whatever it is, they leave. Some people just leave because they have to go to work, and some people leave because they've lost too many units. Those people are the people I don't really like. This is Wargames. Stand up for your forces. Take control, because if you're if you're leaving the game, someone else is going to get your troops, and they might have their own troops to manage. in the sense that they now have a huge front to manage with units all over the place, and they have to completely reorient them on what kind of units you gave them when you jumped ship. So please, as you're watching it, don't do it. I'm hoping none of my subscribers are doing it. If you are, please reconsider, because it is not good sportsmanship. So with that, I hope you liked watching this replay. If you did, please give it a like down below. If you have an own replay that you want to send in for me to look at, please send it in through the link down in the description. Keep in mind, I do get quite a few replays, so I may not be able to cover your replay right away, but I will get around to it eventually. Keep that in mind, and we're all good. So with that, hope you like watching it, and I'll see you next time.